What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost, and it is one thing after another for No Time to Die, the next James Bond movie, Daniel Craig's last outing as James Bond, and potentially the end of this franchise as we know it. Because according to the rumors, according to all the reports, it sounds like they're very much set on the idea of taking this franchise the route of identity politics and woke nonsense, just like we've seen with so many of other beloved IPs throughout the past several years. And when you have reports like this, No Time to Die needs to earn $900 million to break even as the most expensive James Bond movie ever. It's probably not a good idea to go out and continue to perpetuate the nonsense that has gotten you to this place, where some people are very, very hesitant about what you're about to do to these characters. So when the director comes out and says things like this, it's probably not going to be good news either. No Time to Die director Cary Fukunaga admits film is woke while attempting to deny it. We have been talking about this movie for so long, and it's been delayed at this point, probably like a year and a half, somewhere around there. It has been stuck in limbo because they didn't want to release it because it was so expensive to make. So with all the lockdowns, with theaters not sure if they were going to be open or not, they decided to delay it. That was after a bunch of reshoots. This is after Phoebe Waller-Bridge, woke Phoebe Waller-Bridge, gets brought on to rewrite the script for the Me Too era. Because that's what this is all about. After Lashana Lynch is brought on to be the first female 007 and has been spouting a bunch of nonsense about who she thinks should be James Bond. Spoiler alert, literally anybody, as long as it's not a white man, is probably okay with Lashana Lynch. Now we have something like this. Let's get into it, and we might as well spoil it up front because I'm pretty sure I probably put something like this in the title. No Time to Die director says James Bond was a rapist. We're going to try to get around the YouTube bots that may not like that word. And I saw this headline, saw a lot of people talking about this from Bleeding Fool. I see this article over here on Bounding Into Comics, so we're going to go through it. The director of the upcoming James Bond film, No Time to Die, Cary Fukunaga, recently admitted the movie is woke while trying to deny rumors that the writer Phoebe Waller-Bridge was brought in to wokeify the film. In an interview with Hollywood Reporter, Fukunaga discusses how he is modernizing James Bond for a post-Me Too reality. This is the reports, guys. This is what we've been saying. This isn't bullshit. This is reality. First, the director accuses James Bond of rape in the past films. He says, is it Thunderball or Goldfinger, where, like, basically Sean Connery's character rapes a woman? It's interesting that he says Sean Connery's character and not James Bond, isn't it? Sean Connery's character is the label that he uses while he can't even remember the movie he's talking about. You are making a fucking James Bond movie, one of the most iconic characters in cinematic history. It's not like there's been 100 films. There's been 24 of them before this one, which is likely going to be dog shit. This is the 25th Bond film, and you can't even remember what you're trying to accuse his character of doing. He adds, she's like, no, and he's like, yes. That wouldn't fly today. Now, luckily, Bounding into Comics, and I think, is this John F. Trent? Yeah, it is John F. Trent. He describes exactly some of the scenes that he may be talking about. In Thunderball, Bond, played by Connery, has a flirtatious relationship with Patricia, played by Molly Peters, and it is flirtatious both ways. After Bond is almost killed on the rack, she tells him, you better come along with me, spend a few minutes in the steam room, it will help relax you, might even shrink you back to size. Obviously, some flirtation going on there. Bond responds, somebody's gonna wish that it never happened. Well, you wouldn't tell Dr. Wayne, please, I'd lose my job. To which Bond says, well, I suppose my silence could have a price. Oh, you don't mean, oh no. Bond says, oh yes. She then proceeds to open the steam room door and enters inside with Bond. Wouldn't consider that the way that Cary Fukunaga is describing it. And if he means Goldfinger, obviously Bond and Pussy Galore have that very iconic scene in the stable where they're kind of like rolling around in the hay. She kind of resists a little bit because she's working for Goldfinger, but there is mutual flirtation between them and they end up making out, and we know the rest of the story. However, as he continues to get closer, she eventually embraces him in a kiss and relaxes her hands. By the end of the film, Pussy Galore and James Bond avoid getting rescued and enjoy each other's company. After calling Bond a rapist, Fukunaga then attempts to refute the idea that Phoebe Waller-Bridge was brought in onto the film to make Bond more woke. He says, "I think that's the expectation. A female writing a very strong female role, but that's something Barbara wanted already. From my first conversation with Barbara Broccoli, that was a very strong drive. You can't change Bond overnight into a different person, but you can definitely change the world around him and the way he has to function in the world. It's a story about a white man as a spy in this world, but you have to be willing to lean in and do the work to make the female characters more than just contrivances." And we have already heard from Lashana Lynch what Phoebe Waller-Bridge was brought in there to do, right? To make it for the Me Too era, to feminize this film, to open it up to a female audience. Here's a spoiler alert for all of you that may think that that's a good thing when you hear that phrase. There's already a female audience for James Bond. Is it the majority audience? Probably not. But just like we saw with Star Wars, just like we've seen with Marvel, all these things, the female audience exists for a reason. There's a reason that in all these Avengers movies, all these Marvel movies, the dudes are taking their shirts off, right? Because there's a female audience for these things already. There's a female audience for James Bond movies. And by trying to change inherently who the character is, the things he does, you're going to drive away not just the male fans that you think are too toxic, you're also going to drive away the people who are already fans of this franchise the way it was. We've seen this happen time after time. Lashana Lynch will go on to confirm the film is woke, noting that Bond is treated with equity in the film compared to the female characters. She explains Cary had big discussions with Barbara and Daniel about how to give the female characters equity. Not equality, mind you. Equity. How to keep them in charge of themselves. How to give them solo moments where the audience learns who they are. It was really important to empower the female characters as standalones. And I think that he kept that in mind throughout the whole shoot. I didn't feel like Nomi, as a young black woman, was consciously standing behind the white guy, which, for me, is job done. And that was a very conscious decision for Cary. We have heard things about trying to make these female characters relatable by being on their periods and using tampons, like stuff that people aren't going to the theaters to see, that only the woke crowd is like, oh yes, please give me some of that. This is nonsensical. Like, every time these people come out, even Daniel Craig had to come out and do damage control, be like, hey, just so you guys know, I don't think a woman should be playing James Bond. After Lashana Lynch, after so many people in the media want that to happen. They want the next James Bond, or whatever they're going to call her, to be a woman. And Cary Fukunaga, by saying all of these things, by trying to say, oh, don't worry, the film's not woke, but by the way, these are all the woke things we're going to do, it's just more bad news for No Time to Die. And as a massive James Bond fan, it's just one more thing that looks to be sacrificed under the altar of identity politics. But I guess we'll see when this film comes out. I hope that all this shit is bullshit, but we have been fooled too many times. Way too many times. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.